They say you don't really know your neighbors until you cross them. For the longest time, I thought I had a good, quiet neighborhood. Tree-lined streets. The kind of place where mailboxes match and lawns compete in silent contests. I moved into Chestnut Grove 5 years ago to escape the chaos of city life, hoping for some peace, maybe even community. I bought a modest brick ranch on a cul-de-sac and kept to myself. Mostly. Worked from home as an electrician, raised my son after his mom passed, and stayed out of HOA business. But then came Marilyn Ross. Marilyn wasn't your run-of-the-mill nosy neighbor. She was the self-appointed queen of Chestnut Grove. Technically, she was the HOA president. But you'd think she was running a dictatorship. Power suits on garbage day, heels too high for sidewalks, and a Bluetooth headset she never took off, like she was always closing some urgent deal. From day one, she had her eye on me. First, it was a warning letter about my recycling bins being too visible from the street. Then it was my grass height off by half an inch, she claimed. But I let it slide. Maybe she was just overzealous. It all came to a head on a Wednesday evening when my son Eli and I were sitting down to dinner. He'd just gotten off his shift at the emergency dispatch center, still wearing his headset around his neck, scrolling through takeout options. We were laughing about some ridiculous order he took from a woman who called 911 because her neighbor's dog barked too loud. Then something slid under our door, a thick, yellow envelope with the HOA seal. Another violation notice this time. A $750 fine for unauthorized fencing material. It was the same wooden fence that had been there since the house was built. No changes, no upgrades. Just another excuse. I was mid-rant when the banging started heavy, deliberate pounding that rattled the glass in the door, through the peephole. There she was. Marilyn. Aviator sunglasses despite the setting sun, a clipboard in one hand, and in the other, what looked like a fluorescent yellow key. I cracked the door but kept the chain on. "Mr. Hayes," she snapped, "step aside. This is an official HOA inspection." I blinked. "For what? The fence you've already fined me for." "This key," she said dramatically, holding it up like some holy relic, "is a universal access key. It works on 90% of the locks in this neighborhood. I'm authorized to use it. You're not a locksmith," I said, holding back a laugh. "That thing looks like it came out of a cereal box." She shoved it at the lock, jiggled it around uselessly, then stepped back, furious. "Your resistance is being documented." "I'm calling the police." I didn't flinch. "Be my guest." She whipped out her phone and called 911, pacing back and forth on my porch, dramatically describing me as aggressive and threatening. What she didn't realize was that inside, my son had quietly stepped into his room and logged back into the dispatcher system. I listened through the door as Marilyn told a twisted story about how I was barricading myself and refusing lawful HOA enforcement. Her voice was so full of righteous fury, it almost sounded believable if you didn't know her. But then came the moment that shifted everything. "Ma'am," the dispatcher said calmly through her speaker, "can you clarify the model of the key you're using? Is it recognized by the state security registry?" There was a pause. "It's from Key Authority Direct." "Come," Marilyn stammered. "They said it works on all residential locks. And did you receive written consent or a court order to enter Mr. Hayes's property?" "What?" "No, I don't need that. I'm the HOA president. That's when Eli texted me from his room. I've got her on the line. Dad, just keep calm. Marilyn's face was turning redder by the second when she realized she wasn't getting the reaction she wanted. She pulled a small camera from her bag and set it up on the lawn, aiming it at my front door. Great now, it was performance time. The police arrived not long after. Officer Donna Whitmore, whom I'd seen around the neighborhood, stepped out of her cruiser looking tired. Marilyn ran up to her, fake tears in full force, claiming I'd threatened her and was hiding violations. She even pulled out a photo of what she said was my house painted bright orange with a broken-down fence. It was a different house entirely. Different windows, no tree, not even the right number. Whitmore looked from the photo to my home, clearly unimpressed. Mr. Hayes, what's going on here? I handed her my phone with the HOA bylaws pulled up, pointing to the section that stated no board member could enter private property without written permission. Marilyn practically lunged at me. He's twisting it. He's hiding violations. That key should have worked. That key, Whitmore said dryly, looks like it glows in the dark. And unless you've got legal authority, you just tried to force entry. Neighbors had started gathering on their porches. Whispers turned to murmurs. Then Henry from next door stepped forward and said loudly, "She fined me last week for letting my grandkids draw chalk on my driveway. Said it was visual clutter," another neighbor added. "She made my wife repaint our shutters twice. Same color both times." That's when Marilyn lost it. This neighborhood is falling apart because of people like him, people who question authority. Officer Whitmore crossed her arms. "Ma'am, we've received multiple complaints about HOA overreach. I suggest you back off, or I'll have to file a report." Marilyn stormed off, but not before muttering, "This isn't over." She wasn't kidding. The next morning, every resident received an HOA alert claiming I was a community threat and demanding an immediate $10,000 assessment per household to cover legal damages. 10 grand. Out of nowhere. Sophia from 2 doors down was in tears. Her husband had just lost his job. Henry's utilities were mysteriously cut off by mid-morning. Mine followed an hour later. That's when I knew she was spiraling. Sophia, who happened to be a night shift nurse and a part-time cybersecurity student, pulled up her laptop and started showing me receipts, real ones. HOA credit card statements listing beautification supplies that translated to handbags, salon trips, and even a spa weekend. Marilyn had been laundering HOA funds right under our noses. We rallied. Within hours, we had a petition signed by over 200 homes. The final emergency meeting was standing room only. Marilyn tried one last performance, accused me of fraud. Played a grainy video of a man who vaguely resembled me spray painting a wall in the dark. It wasn't even my property. But when Eli stepped forward, still in his dispatcher uniform, and played back her 911 calls, the room fell silent. Every petty call, every false report, all of it recorded. The board members turned on her. The state investigators stepped in, and when Marilyn tried to storm out, shouting lawsuits and conspiracies, she walked straight into handcuffs. I stood there, stunned, as neighbors cheered, some in tears. Henry clapped me on the back. Sophia hugged me. Eli gave me that proud look only a son can give, when the parent becomes the hero instead of the protector. Later that night, as we celebrated with pizza on the back porch, I found an envelope under the doormat. No return address. Just one sentence. "Chestnut Grove isn't done with you." I tossed it in the fire pit without blinking. Because after all we'd been through, this wasn't fear anymore. It was fuel.